Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to only the second Saturday edition of Topic Time with Harrison Young in History. I hope you all had a great 4th of July. I had a great 4th of July, but I got to at least do 2 Topic Time shows a week, and the other station was closed on Thursday, so they were very generous to let me in here to do a great show on Saturday. So here we are. So I have and there's a couple other firsts going on in the show tonight too that you'll see in a minute, which include my guest, and I'll talk all about that and to him in a minute. We'll find out what that's about. But before I get to that, we've got to read these awesome underwriters, and then we'll get right to it. We got the car guys in Bridgewater, offering sales service, detailing, free locate service, and 10% off for Topic Time fans. We got the Abington News, Smoke and Ashes Tobacco Company in Abington, and also have stores in Abington, Weymouth, Hanson, Whitman, Pembroke, and Hanover. We got Michael H. Jewelers in East Bridgewater. We got Vape Solutions also in East Bridgewater. We got Johnny Macaroni's restaurants at 3 locations, 2 in East Bridgewater, 1 in Halifax. We got Auto Restoration, South Coast Customs, Auto Restoration, South Coast Customs in Carver. They restore old antique cars. We got John's Greenhouses and Floor Shop in Brockton. We got Rivers Auto in Abington. And we got Clothes Clinic Dry Cleaning in Whitman, where Topic Time fans get 10% off. And I want to thank you guys very much. And on that note, now we will elaborate on the guest and the situation. So first of all, this gentleman here, I know him as John DeRocha back in high school. He and I are high school classmates, and this is actually the first time I ever interviewed a classmate of mine from high school. I did interview a fellow student from high school, but he was a year older than me, DJ Joe Lupica, a few years ago. You guys may remember that. So John, I got to ask you, isn't it unbelievable? Does it feel like 42 years since we graduated? I remind you that I was the final kid in the class to graduate in 1977 at Brockton High School. 1,233 students. I did the statistics when I got my college transcripts, or my high school transcripts for college 8 years later. And the kids, with 20 kids to go, with a 3-hour ceremony, were chanting Harrison, 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 because they knew that once I received my paper, they were all Cape Bound or wherever else. Isn't that unbelievable?
Yes, it is. Okay. Yes, it is. It doesn't seem like that long. It seems like
I know.
Yesterday.
You think it would be scary, but I'm delighted. I love the fact that I'm running rings around myself the way I was in high school. I mean, I met you in Mr. Hughes's U.S. history class on September 5th, 1975. It was a Friday. And I got to tell you, you seem like a cool guy. I didn't really know you very well. I, unfortunately, was not treated very well in high school by a lot of our classmates, and we don't have to name names, but you know what I'm getting at?
Yes.
But you know the old saying, living well is the best revenge, and I'd say I'm more than doing that right now.
Absolutely.
And now, John, that having been said, we're going to do a show, and we're going to talk about you specifically and what you're doing. So now, the other day, you sent me a message. We've been Facebook friends for a while. You and several other of our contemporaries are Facebook friends. You said you just came back from Washington, D.C., and you're actually a human rights activist, and you contributed to a peaceful protest down there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want you to do is to elaborate on that, and just bring us up to speed on what that means in terms of human rights. What parts of the world are you addressing human rights violations and elaborate, and if I have any questions, I'll throw them at you. And then we'll go back a little further, but go on.
Okay, well, this particular rally in Washington, D.C. was for the Iranian people.
Okay, now you're Iranian American, correct?
I'm not.
You're not?
No, I'm American Indian and French.
There you go. I thought you were, okay, that's fine.
However, the group is the Iranian American Organization Committee and the National Coalition for the Resistance of Iranians.
Okay.
But in each one of 40 different states in the United States.
How many? You said 40.
40 different states now are represented. There is a representative in each state from the Iranian community.
Okay.
And they organize in their individual states.
Okay. And you're one of them.
To bring the people together, yes.
Okay, but you don't have to be, that's why I'm glad I asked that question, because you don't have to be an Iranian American to participate and be a rep. Obviously.
Not at all.
Right. Okay.
Not at all. I mean, as a matter of fact, a lot of the people I met had actually supported the American Indians out in Dakota against the pipeline.
I hear that's quite a reservation.
So it's more of a representative, of being able to help represent people who are in a situation like they're in.
Right.
But The group, I met two particular people from the group online, Pamela Shafee, who is a media expert,
Okay.
and she also works for Amnesty International.
Okay.
Out in
Where are they based
California.
out of? California.
California.
Okay. Yep.
And another gentleman, Ahmad Moen,
Okay.
who is the head of the Iranian American community in California.
Yep.
And they arranged for the last 3 years my trips to France with them for the rallies.
Okay, you want,
in
okay,
Villepinte.
hold up a second. Why France? That sounds. I mean, France is a vacation site, but not in
Yes.
this case. In your case,
France is where the opposition for the Iranian people is based.
really?
The president-elect of Iran, her name is Maryam Rajavi.
Okay.
They're based in France.
Wow.
They're basically known as the MEK, and the knowledge that I have of them, comes from a lot of books, media outlets, and things like that.
Wow.
And you'll hear a lot of different things, but they have a tremendous amount of support from our American politicians over here.
Okay.
Because of their democratically based opposition to what's going on in Iran.
That's what I was wondering
And
about. Okay.
in other words, to put it in a nutshell, the ones over there now are a threat to our interest, especially in Israel.
Right. Okay.
The group that is opposing them
Yep.
would be much lesser of an evil, if you will. I hate to use that word, but they would not be that kind of a threat to our best interest or the interest in Israel and Palestine. So it's, it's a very, very complicated situation.
I'm sure it is.
But what I found was like the people that invited me,
Yeah.
it went from being social media
Yeah.
to personally meeting them
Yep.
and in families.
Yep.
I've met families from Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Turkey, Afghanistan,
Wow.
Iraq, and they're over here in the country. They're trying to bring families over.
Okay.
We are a chance
Yep.
for them for a new life.
Okay.
And this year, instead of going to France,
Yeah.
because of the participations all over the world now.
Right.
Today there's a rally in Berlin, just
Okay.
like we had in Washington,
Okay.
for the organization. But they wanted to do this in Washington.
Okay.
They're very happy with the help that Mr. Trump has given them.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And they just wanted him to see that, they are going to support peacefully,
Okay.
and letting them know, that, hey, we're here, we'll support whatever we can do to bring in our opposition
Yep.
and help the people of Iran get rid of the mullahs.
Yeah.
So it's.
But the mullahs run Iran, correct?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Well, so this is therein lies the rub. I mean, in the news for the past few weeks, we've been hearing, Trump is dealing with this tough situation with the problem in the Persian Gulf with the attacks on our American interests there, the ships and whatnot. And I don't usually talk politics on my show, okay? I know a lot of people hate Trump, a lot of people don't hate him, and a lot of people, the country, to be honest with you, in my estimation, based on what I'm seeing in the news, has never been so divided since the Civil War. And the only reason we're not really having a civil war now is because we don't have a life and death situation going on in our country like we did with slavery or the kind of human oppression that slavery was during the 1800s. Now, my take on it is that, again, like I said, I really don't like to get too political because, I try to keep the show upbeat, but I have no limits to my subjects unless I feel they're in poor taste. I feel that he's done some things that that have totally shocked me in a good way. Meeting with Kim Jong-un in North Korea last week and doing that and stepping over the line. No sitting president has done that, and to say it was a photo op, I think is BS, because I think it was a great thing that he did. I'm not saying that Kim Jong-un is a saint by any stretch, but for our purposes, we need to get along with the countries that, I'll be honest with you. Going back to 20 years ago, I was worried the world was going to end in 1999. I feared the Nostradamus prophecy, and I think you probably know what that was. I don't fear it now, but there's always a concern in the back of my mind that the long and short of it is that one wrong move could end the world. it could lead to the world. I mean, the World War I started with the assassination of a Serbian count.
Right.
One guy got blown away in Serbia, and next thing you know, the world is at war. So if that can lead to a world war, I mean, I can't think of the number of possibilities that could lead to one now. I don't obsess with it like I used to, but I mean, I think Trump, holding back on the attacks and still threatening Iran. I almost get the feeling, based on his history, that it might end up, bringing forth a negotiation. I mean, I'm hoping. Now, if you want to express your opinion on that, feel free. I think I think you're happy with your opportunity that you had to. You're trying to help the citizens of Iran. They're oppressed, obviously. We know that, and so are the citizens of those other countries that you mentioned. And that's always in the news, and it's pretty hard to miss. When Assad,
Yes.
when that Assad, that Syrian dictator,
Bashar.
when he starts dropping nerve gas on his own people, and we know that it's not sugarcoated. It can't be. And some of the people in the United States say, "Mind your own business, Trump. Stay out of it. No need to escalate it more." But it's a slippery slope, and you really do have to try, and you can't just ignore it. You really do have to help innocent people, and I know, and it sounds like you're doing just that to the best of your ability, and I really admire that.
It's been a long road that's led me here. It wasn't one that when I first started,
Right.
It wasn't one that I foresaw. But along the way, I had a chance to do a lot of thinking about the upbringing that I had. My father was a career naval officer.
Okay.
And one of the things that keeps coming
Did you say
to
career or Korea?
career.
Career. Okay.
Career. I spent 19 years in the Navy.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was certain words that I grew up on like Mr. Kennedy. It's not what your country can do for you,
It's what you can do
but
for
what
you.
you can
Right.
do for your country.
Yep.
And whenever I try to do something, I try to tell myself that what I want,
Yeah.
if my president ever does look, is that I'm doing something that would make him proud, because
Great.
that's what our job is. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a lot of people. President's got a big job, and being able to take part in something that right now has so much to do with not only for these people and their children and their growth here
Yep.
in the country,
Yes.
but their foundations are being built here in America,
Right.
and they're here to support whatever we can do over there. So it's, those ties will make a very strong, strong foundation.
Yes.
And I'm so fortunate that that I've been welcomed. Just basically, it was like I was the best friend in the world, and I've really gotten very attached to the work that a lot of them do.
Yep.
I believe in what they do,
Yes.
and I respect the efforts that they put into it, which is, like one of the things that that you really have to, take a good look at, because we grew up here
Yeah.
in America. I had a privileged life.
I did too.
Whenever I had a problem,
Yep.
my mother would, hey, you solve it on your own, but I knew that I had somebody who would have my back.
Yeah.
And it's tremendous to hear of the courage that people have, but it's, sometimes it's heartbreaking to have to hear it. But again, I was going to say something earlier to what you were talking about, and I kind of got sidetracked a little bit. But again, with the politics on that,
Yeah.
I have a website with the Belfer Center, which
Okay.
is the Harvard Kennedy School of Government.
Yep.
But they have seminars during the school year that are open to the public
Okay.
that cover a broad range of topics in the world, and their speakers are the representatives and delegates from other countries, from South Korea,
Okay.
I've met, from Iran,
Yep.
from Pakistan,
Yeah.
and I've gone to them and I've listened to the students that are there brainstorm with these people about world topics and problems, and a lot of it is where the groundwork is that you need to do.
Yep.
And I've seen so many students and met so many that are from, the countries over there in Southeast Asia, Saudi Arabia,
Right.
and they are looking for us as an example for human rights in their countries, especially with Iran, Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Their version of freedom and democracy will always be different, but it's about basic human rights, free choice.
Okay, but now we're allies with, now here's the thing that gets me. I know that we're allies with Saudi Arabia. Iran and Saudi Arabia are not allies. They do not like each other. My only thought on that might be is that the people in Saudi Arabia, it's got some crazy laws. The Sharia laws apply there, but it's also a richer country than Iran is. And my hunch is that the people in Iran are jealous of that, and they're right in their own neighborhood. They're thinking, okay, well, this is another Arab country, but they have benefits that we don't have, and they're not being oppressed. The rulers in Saudi Arabia, because they're allied with us, they're not going to do things to their own people that are going to turn us against them. That's my theory, but if you can dispute it or not, or maybe it has nothing to do with what you're talking about. My limited knowledge of the subject.
Yeah, my knowledge is really small.
Yeah, okay.
Limited on that. But over the years, I have a few ladies who are Saudi Arabian.
Okay.
On Twitter and Facebook.
Yep.
Who have managed to escape the country.
Okay. Wow.
And it's.
You're talking about Saudi Arabia.
Yes, it's more on the lines where they're trying to change to just develop more freedoms and stuff. But I don't know about I know the political relationship from Iran and Saudi Arabia is
sour.
It's south, and it's complicated. But
right.
When you're talking about the government and the military and then the people, those are such different entities.
Right.
And it's really tough if the people were able to get together, it might be a better
Have you ever
story.
been in the Middle East yourself?
Not yet.
Okay, but do you think you will go eventually?
I have an open invitation to visit Tehran.
Okay.
Iran, when the opportunity arises.
Okay.
And every year it gets closer and closer.
Okay.
So yes, I would take it.
Okay, good.
To get over there to meet the people.
Yep.
And whatever I learn, whatever I can do, I'm learning. I've got an open-ended application for my own 501c from the IRS, but I came up a little short on that. But again, that's where I can get out there, start my own organizations,
right.
And any donations and things like that I get, they're monitored. So, things like that. And I know this is off the topic of Washington, but one of the things that's driven me over the years, I helped some people get an apartment on the second floor where I live, and they're from Kathmandu, Nepal.
Okay, wow.
And,
you're talking about Fall River, right?
Yes, in Fall River. And one of the sisters was in Nepal during the earthquake they had a few years back.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't hear from her for a couple of weeks. And through that time, we've kind of become a lot more on the friends term. And I support their schools. They have a program called Baby Life Home, where some of those schools were destroyed in the mountains.
Wow. So
I donated money to them, and they went back over there and used it to help rebuild the schools, supplied the children. My goal, whatever it is, whatever I find, I keep digging and keep working so that whatever foundation I can build, if I concentrate on something like maybe the children and the schools and things like that, I'll have a great deal of knowledge, or I don't know how you would want to.
Well, it sounds like you really want to get in there and make a difference. And maybe
absolutely.
even possibly at the risk of your own life. Because it could be, and that's the only thing that would keep me from going to the Middle East. So I got to tell you, you're braver than me. It's
generous people.
I know that.
Of the heart.
I'm not talking. I'm sure the people, the citizens, are very generous. My uncle went to the Middle East in 1972. He visited all the Arab countries, and this was long before. This was when the Shah of Iran was still in power. And even though the guy turned out to be a total, an exterminator type leader, as we know now, he was still our ally, and that's why Carter gave him political asylum in 1980, after he'd been exiled from Iran. And only, just because sometimes the leaders of a country like the United States, in order to keep the face with their own, with their own people and whatnot, they need to they need to deal with people like the Shah, and unfortunately they did look the other way for a lot of things. But the only problem with that is that when the Ayatollah replaced the Shah, he was even worse.
Yes.
You know, as we know. By the
it was
Iranian
a
hostage
tough-
crisis almost 40 years ago when it started, as we know, too.
It's very difficult. Again, I had roots when I first moved to Massachusetts from Texas.
Was that when you were real little, before I knew
Yes,
you?
it was before high school years.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, okay.
about halfway through the 6th grade. I came here from Texas.
Okay, wow.
And my uncle, Dave DeRocha,
Okay,
actually was, he trained in his business people who were from Iran.
okay.
And
What business was that?
he was type of machinist. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't
all right,
remember
that's
what it was
fine,
he
as
made.
long as you know.
But we had a lot of talks when I was younger.
Yep.
There's a lot of feeling about Persian pride
Yep.
and things
But,
like that.
but you said you don't have any Iranian blood in you.
No, I do not.
Okay, but
No.
the people that he worked with did, and that
Yes.
rubbed off on him, kind of.
And absolutely.
Okay.
And I learned. I'm relearning from him a lot about what's going on. And I'll tell you, if I had a situation that I needed support in,
Yeah.
as tough as that, I mean, I think I would be very grateful, to have a people that would help me. And I just find it, again, I want my president to be proud of what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Again,
would be.
it's something where I've gone into Harvard. I've gotten to be able to speak with people who have actually sat with Mr. Trump.
Okay.
I've actually had the opportunity to sit through a seminar while Joseph Kennedy III was there, our representative.
Yep.
And they have today is their future.
Right.
And
Have you ever gotten up to speak yourself and talked about your own experiences in this world?
I've posed some questions.
Okay. No, but I'm
and
talking
again-
about, have you ever gotten up to, do a speech of any kind?
No.
You haven't, okay.
No.
Would you ever consider running for an office of any kind either? I'm just, you're obviously very motivated, behind, to the human cause. We just lost our mayor in Brockton. You probably know that, Bill Carpenter,
Yes.
who just passed away
That was very
suddenly the other
sad.
day. And I got to tell you, I didn't realize how popular he was. But a lot of the people in Brockton, who I would say, from the looks of them, were not very prosperous people, were singing his praises and weeping because he must have done a lot for them.
He was a representative of
A lot
the
pe-
people.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
a lot
people,
of
and
people.
that's what it seems like you are as well. I mean, let's face it, Brockton, not like the Middle East. Well, not to that degree, but we have people in Brockton that don't have it so good either.
No, I have. Before I moved out of Fall River, I had met. I don't want to use their name here, but
Okay.
while my mother had passed away from cancer, so
Sorry,
I
yep.
had to kind of move away, and
Yep.
I had met a couple of sisters in a laundromat that I used to go to, and they were from Cape Verde.
Okay.
And over the course of time, I became very, very close friends with them. I met their family, their mom.
Okay.
And I went to the festivals in Brockton with them. And, I see the same thing with my friends that in Washington
Yep.
that I saw with them. I mean, there's a great pride. And I'll tell you, if I had, if I have the opportunity to step forward and the foot's there, I tell myself you can't be afraid.
There you go.
You can't shy away from an opportunity. And I think one of the hardest things that I'm going to have to learn
Yep.
is how to accept when I don't know something,
Right.
when I'm wrong, and how not to step away from it.
Well, it
You-
sounds like
you
you've done that beautifully as long as you've been around here.
Step
As long as
into
I've known
whatever it
you.
is.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of great mentors.
You do. Well, guess what, John? We're under 5 minutes. So, what I usually ask people to do is give shouts out to their friends and stuff. But most of the people I interview are like in entertainment. But I just want to go before, instead of doing that with you, I want to find out just a little bit more about you as before I knew you. You grew up. You started out in Texas. Why did they move you from Texas to New England? I was just wondering.
Well, my father and my mother, their families are originally from Massachusetts.
Okay.
My dad joined the Navy,
Yeah.
and he was stationed stateside.
Okay.
his career until the last 3 years, and he spent the last 3 years in McMurdo, which was the reason that, like, when I grew up on Long Island.
Okay, wow.
I went to school first on Long Island. When we went to Texas, came back to Long Island, and went back to Texas.
Okay.
And he wanted to bring us back here.
Yep.
In would be my 6th year in school.
Right.
And you know, we moved back here then.
On the north side of Brockton,
And a
so-
couple of years later, his skills as a builder.
Yep.
He was a CB.
Yep.
You know, he took that knowledge and went to McMurdo and built radar stations and runways.
There you go. Wow.
And, but that's what brought us here to Massachusetts was
Okay.
family. My 3 aunts lived here.
Okay.
And I have cousins that were my age that,
Right.
you know, we bonded,
Yeah,
you know.
that's cool.
I mean,
That's
those
awesome.
are
That's
my
cool.
pals.
I hate most
um,
of my cousins. I'm just kidding.
But, you know, that's what brought us back here. And,
Yeah.
of course, you know, with the history of Brockton, my first experience was, you know, with Brockton High School being brand new.
Yep, me
Tremendous
too.
high school athletes.
You play. I know you played baseball at North Junior High. One time, I remember you told me a story. You were pitching one day and a mosquito flew down your throat. A gnat, right?
Well, probably.
No, you told me that. You painted my house a little bit with
Yeah.
Mark Rukas. You know, he was a great guy too, but I didn't really know him at Brockton High School. He was a classmate of ours.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's doing now, but it was really, you know, nice having you come and paint my house and power wash it or whatever
Yes,
you did.
it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now I've moved.
It was a
so
pleasure.
as soon as I clean the house up, you can come over again and we can rehash old times.
Sounds good.
Well, John, I
I'd
hope
love
you had a
to.
good time with me tonight.
I did. Thank
I
you.
hope today, actually, it's still afternoon. Hard to believe. And I hope we covered. I mean, I tried to cover everything that we could, and it made it a very interesting show. So I hope. And
Well, you know, I talked to a few friends of mine out in California,
yeah.
and I couldn't get a hold of Payment A because they're over in Berlin right
say
now.
hi to him real quick, and
Yes,
then we'll wrap it up.
Payment A.
We'll see the show. Okay, we'll see it.
and Ahmad, thank you for everything, and they definitely wanted to hook up with you if you wanted to hear some of their stories.
Okay.
They would like me to arrange it. So
Love to have him when he come east. We'll do the show. You ready to wrap it up, John?
Yes, sir.
Okay, folks. Thanks for watching another great episode of Topic Time. More to come. Here we go. There you go. You got it. There you go. It's much better. Well, they already have it mixed in the back, so I don't want to get it too loud.